Hey guys, so this is the next chapter in my Tesla Supercar series. What is a Tesla Supercar series? It's basically me declaring that my car is going to be a Tesla Supercar as soon as I add a few bolt-ons, make a few additions, some changes. So stay tuned, subscribe. Please see below in the description. I chopped this whole video up into different chapters if you want to skip around. Every good-looking car has an ideal wheel offset. Nothing like what comes from Tesla. Now, what comes from Tesla might be great for aerodynamics, but aerodynamics doesn't always look so great, and we're all about looks here, and wheel spacers, that's pretty much all they're about, are looks. So I used a 15mm spacer in the front and a 20mm in the rear. I'll put a link up here and there and in the the thing below for eBay and that. I can't remember, maybe they were $100 or so, pretty cheap. Also, there's enough room in here. You could easily go to 20 and 25. I don't know about 25 and 30, but you could easily add another 5mm here if what you see today doesn't look good enough for you. So if you want your Tesla to look way better for a very small amount of money, stick around. I'll show you what, where, who, why, when to do this. So I've got a detailed DIY beginner install for you, discuss pros and cons, show you all kinds of results, pictures, some video, everything. Hopefully you can see the car from all angles. And yeah, I do a few 0 to 60 tests too. Does the car get slower? So step one was lowering the car. I use the Mountain Pass Comfort coilovers to lower it, and I've got a couple videos out there, a DIY comprehensive install video and another comprehensive review of the suspension too. Look for those videos. Actually, subscribe, you'll find them all. So step two, after lowering the car, you got to put some wheel spacers on it. The car looks fantastic. Actually, it looks so much better that well, I'm gonna have to. I have to probably put off buying new wheels until next season at least. Yeah, it's sad, but it shows you how good this car looks actually with just wheel spacers or just lowering and putting the wheel spacers on. It's that good. It's that good. Okay, let's get into some pros and cons of the wheel spacers. Cons. First one for me is it seems like a bit of a myth. People talk about oh, you put the wheels out that far, you're gonna hurt the bearings. All right, how are wheel spacers any different than a new wheel with a different offset? The wheels ends up in the same spot, so if wheel spacers are so bad, then so are wheels with a different offset. I'm really not buying into that one so much, so I don't think it's a concern. The second con is real. These wheel spacers, these specific ones that I got, the 15 and 20mm, they weigh about 8.5 pounds more overall. So approximately a little over 2 pounds per wheel. Now, that's not huge by any real measure, but it could make a difference. That's why I'm doing those 0 to 60 tests. And adding weight to a wheel and tire is going to increase the unsprung weight, which is going to make a suspension work harder in order to keep the wheels on the road, because now the wheels and tires are heavier. Again, it's not much. If you were to buy a heavier tire, a heavier wheel, pretty sure the Tesla wheels that they sell, those 20-inch wheels, they are heavier than these stock 18-inch wheels with my wheel spacers on them. So is that really that big of a deal? No, it's not. Okay, another one that I already talked about, efficiency, aerodynamics. It may be decreased. I really don't know for sure, right? I haven't seen any tests on it. I'm not gonna do a test like that. It's a huge test to do. But I'm thinking if Tesla made the wheels in as far as they are right now and put those aero caps on them, they did it for a reason. Just guessing, this is not confirmed, but it may reduce your efficiency a little bit. At the same time though, when you lower a car, that's definitely been tested. They've got up to 7% efficiency increase at 93 miles an hour. I'd have to look again, but it's in one of my other videos. Check that out. Another possible con, wheel rash. All right, your wheels and tires are out another 5mm, 5, 10, 15, 20mm. You could hit some curbs. Okay, so what are the pros? Car looks good. That's all there is to it. Okay, what else do you need? The car just looks better. Are there any other pros? No, there's not. In theory, your wheels are out a little bit further. You've got a little bit wider of a stance. That should increase your handling. Your handling should be better. Are you going to notice that though? 15 more millimeters? Probably not. The car, look at the car. The car looks good. It's all you got to know. But then that brings up another point. A lot of people ask, oh, well, can you feel the difference? Can you feel it? You know, actually, I can feel one difference. I've taken the wheel spacers on and off a couple times, and what I notice is the wheel seems to want to return to center quicker than with no wheel spacers on. I'm pretty sure I'm feeling that. I've done it. I've had the wheel spacers on and off 2 or 3 times now, and every time when you've got it a little bit off center, the car wants to kind of come back quicker. Now, does that help me in any way? Will it help the car handle better in any way? I don't think so. It's just kind of how it feels. That's it. That's all I notice. I don't notice taking corners any better. I don't notice turning. I really don't notice anything different other than that. So that's a little interesting, but that's it. All right, let's do some unboxing. These were originally called Blocksport, I think, and I got an email from them saying the new name is BONOSS. Got those from eBay. You can read that. Quick translation of this for you. Says nothing that I care about. Okay. Basic install. Blocks. Warranty card. 775. Oh, there's a difference between a 7075 and a 6061 T6. These are 6061. Oh, only 5-year warranty. Uh-oh. I think I'd worry too much about that. 6061 T6 is a fantastic aluminum. New padding, I guess. All right, I'm assuming that these are the 20 millimeter. Oh man, look real sharp. I like the knurled edge here. These little protective caps. Oh, these look sweet. Yeah, 6061. Here's the new name. BONOSS. Bonos. I don't know. Really get that name. Formerly Blocksport. Thinner 15 millimeter. Yeah, these are really nice. I mean, they look and feel like real high quality aluminum. All right, let's get them installed. So when you lowered your car as much as I have, you realize what a pain it is now to get a jack underneath it, especially when you have to use one of these safety jacks. I'll show you those in a minute. Even with a low profile jack, you're gonna probably have a hard time getting it underneath your Tesla when it's this low. So I built these homemade ramps. This is even an extra piece I need since I lowered it even more. I had a hard time getting the jack with the safety jack stand underneath the car last time. So let me show you though what you can do with a Tesla. Okay, so as you can see, this jack is barely making it under the car with the safety jack on it, even though I've got it raised up on my little homemade ramp. Thought I had it lined up better. So once you line this up, you can begin to jack the car up.
Okay, at this point, things are pretty easy. You might want to, though, get some kind of a wire brush and do some scraping here of the disc of the rotor, just to get any raised corrosion areas, junk that's on there, so that when you put the spacer on, it sits nice and flat. Another thing you might, well, you definitely want to do that. Another thing you might want to think about doing is putting some kind of anti-seize on the back of the rotor and on this surface here. If you're going to be leaving these on for a long time, a lot of times the metals will corrode and they'll stick together. Not that you couldn't get them apart, but it would make it more difficult. Now, I'm planning on probably changing my wheels sometime in the hopefully near future, so I don't expect to have these on for very long. Another thing, don't have to worry about this bolt, which really just keeps the rotor on there while install is going, because it fits in one of these holes here, so no need to remove that. And this is just gonna go here. You can pull these things off, or actually you have to unscrew this anyway, and these little caps fall off. And then these bolts are used here to keep the spacer on. And again, 20 millimeter in the rear, 15 in the front. Okay, these are 19 millimeters. And just gonna finger tight these for now. All right, now, torque wrench. You gotta have one of these. What you do, these bolts are gonna be, these nuts are gonna be tightened down to 129 foot-pounds when we're done. But what you do first is you tighten them to about halfway there, 60, 70 foot-pounds, and then crank it all the way up to 129, 130 on the second range. Let me get a little extension there. And luckily, I think this is where you run into a little bit of an issue. Luckily, this brake is on. It would spin otherwise. Okay, and you go in a star pattern here. You see, you go opposite. All right, so now we go to the full 129 foot-pounds. Now double check everything. Once we've got the spacer on, these are now your new lugs. You can feel that hub center fitting into the wheel there. That's nice. And then these lug nuts go on the same way as before. Now this is just lightly tightening them. You never use an impact on these. It's only to get them started. So same thing. You don't have to use, this is a 21 millimeter for this. You don't have to use this this deep well. This is a nice non-marring finish on here. A lot of times I'll take a normal socket, and if this is any deeper, especially if this is any deeper, I'll take and put some duct tape on here. You know, when you're on here, you don't accidentally mar any of the finish. Okay, so same thing. 60, 70, go in the star pattern. Now we go the full 129. And seriously, guys, that is it. The rear tire is way easier than the front. The front, you got to figure out how to keep that wheel stopped, locked into place. So let's move now to the front. Now we lift the car back up, get it off of the jack stand. Okay, just like the rear, we are going to loosen up these lug nuts while the tire's still firmly attached to the ground, but I did take some weight off with the jack already. Now, jack it up all the way. Okay, these should come off pretty easily now. This bolt just really holds the rotor in place during installation. It's not necessary. The lug nuts and the wheel and everything else are going to be holding this in place. This comes right off. It's a 10 millimeter. So even now, you could see, like, you could pull it a little bit, but it's just to keep it really in place. If you remove the brakes and you're doing a brake job, it helps, but again, it's really completely unnecessary. So just like in the rear, we take these off here and start putting them on the lugs to hold the actual spacer in place. Okay, finger tighten these guys. Alright, get your torque wrench ready, and then I have an idea on how to hold this. Let me show you what happens. Again, these are 19 millimeter. So what happens as you start to tighten it, the whole rotor spins, and you can't really hold it enough to even get, you know, any meaningful torque on this. So what we can do is potentially use this pry bar, but you don't want to pry on these, you know, right on these threads. You'll damage them. So let's try to put the lug nuts back on. Not sure if we'll need all of these, but just put them on anyway. Okay, so we get it set up like that. And now I'm getting a torque on it. Again, I've only got it set to 60. Then we go to 129. The other option is to get somebody in the car and actually hold the brake. It'll clamp this down and it'll hold the rotor for you. So that's the other way, if you don't have some kind of a big pry bar. But you might have a pry bar and no help, so that's how you do it. Or one way to do it. You don't need to get this too tight, but you do want them seated before you lower it and put any weight on the wheel. And, you know, you could just do that with a wrench and holding the wheel and tire. All right, now let's jack it back up. Get the safety jack off, drop it down so that we get some weight on it and we can torque these down. All right, again, we go back to 60 or 70 foot-pounds. All right, good to go. So here it is, 0 to 60 test. I tried it first with the spacers on. 5 tests total because the first 2 runs came up with the same exact number. So 3.76 on the first run, 3.76 on the second run, and I figured, hey, you know, if we're going to get the exact same results, no reason to continue. Then took the spacers off, ran it again. 3.76, the exact same number. But then run number 2, 3.68. So like, wow, all right, that's a pretty big difference. So we got to run it at least one more time. And back up to 3.75. So what does this really tell us? We've got 3.76 average versus 3.73 average, but that includes a 3.68 time on run number 2. Was that an anomaly? or if I ran it 100 more times, would we have seen a real difference here? In theory, again, you know, we added 8.5 pounds. We've got some rotational mass variable in there too, although the mass is pretty close to the hub, so it's not like it's multiplied any than the 8.5 pounds. So I don't know. It should be a little bit slower, but it's really not that measurable. This is what it is.
All right, guys, coming soon. Mountain Pass brake pad test. Do they work? Well, yes. And I tell you exactly how well. Like and subscribe.